Amidst the golden grasslands of the Olowaru Valley, where nature operates by the harshest and most uncompromising laws, being different is often a death sentence. Yet, on one fiery dawn, a miracle appeared. A baby elephant was born with skin as white as summer clouds, standing out against the dusty brown of the herd and the gray of the river pebbles. We called her Snow, a tiny soul carrying the beauty of the moonlight even under the harshest sun. To the matriarch of the herd, Snow was a wonder, but also an undeniable burden. A historic drought was strangling life in this land, turning water holes into cracked, parched clay. In the frantic race for survival to find water, Snow's sensitive skin began to blister under the sun, and her weak eyes, due to her albinism, prevented her from keeping up with the thundering pace of the herd. In a heartbreaking moment of silence, survival instinct triumphed over maternal love. To save the rest of the herd, the adults were forced to move on, leaving Snow trembling under the thin shadow of a withered acacia tree. A small figure carved from white porcelain, alone against a horizon of hazy dust. This is not just a story of abandonment. It is the journey of a lonely traveler seeking love in the most dangerous places, and of the humans who refuse to let that light fade away. The first night, left behind in the wild, was a symphony of ghosts. For a calf like Snow, the world was a blur of distorted shapes and terrifying sounds. Albinos often suffer from poor vision, and under the dim moonlight, the grass swaying in the wind looked like monsters waiting to pounce. By the second day, thirst began to drain her last bit of strength. Her tiny legs shook, and her trunk, usually so curious, hung limp and exhausted. Snow no longer had the strength to search for water. She was searching for a heartbeat, anything to break the suffocating loneliness. It was then that a low, vibrating rumble echoed from afar. To a hunter or a person who knows the land, it was the threatening growl of a predator. But to a calf desperate for warmth, it sounded just like the vibration from a mother's chest. Snow stumbled toward the sound and stopped at the edge of Whispering Rock, the territory of the silver-eyed lion pride. What happened next seemed to defy the cruelest laws of nature. Instead of running, Snow walked directly toward the lions resting in the shade. Her blurred vision and intense need for connection made her believe these majestic creatures, with their golden fur, were a new kind of elephant family. Snow saw a lioness's tail flick and thought it was an invitation. She felt the warmth of their fur and believed she had found where she belonged. The pride was stunned. In the animal kingdom, predators rely on the flight response to trigger their hunting instinct. But Snow did not run. She walked into the center of the pride, sniffed the strange scent, and collapsed, tucking her white head into the flank of a lioness named Saba. For one breathless hour, the lions simply watched this strange creature in silence. Perhaps it was Snow's scent, the smell of an infant still carrying the hint of milk, or her reckless innocence that caused their killer instincts to sleep. They stood there, forming a golden circle of protection around a white gem. However, this was a fragile piece. Lions are not elephant nurturers, and without milk, Snow would soon fade away. She was safe from fangs for now, but she was losing the battle against time and the valley's scorching heat. Snow needed more than a protective circle. She needed a true miracle from human hands before the sun set again. Miles away, at the Sky Blue Rescue Station, a dedicated conservationist named Sarah received an urgent radio call. A field research team had spotted a white ghost moving with a lion pride near Whispering Rock. Sarah knew instantly that this was a fierce race against time. An albino calf won't last 3 days in this heat, she told her team while rushing to pack equipment. If the lions don't get hungry, the sun will be the thing that finishes her. The rescue vehicle tore through the red dust trails toward the silver-eyed territory. When Sarah's team arrived, they witnessed a sight that left everyone speechless. Snow was trying to use her tiny trunk to nuzzle Saba, the lioness. The calf was seeking a comfort that Saba could not provide. The lioness looked confused, almost protective, but the atmosphere in the pride was shifting. The prolonged drought had made food scarce, and this white miracle was beginning to look like a potential meal to the hungry male lions. The rescue required absolute precision. Sarah and her team had to perform a dangerous dance, distracting the predators while approaching the target. Using a combination of diversionary tactics and reinforced land rovers, they slowly separated Snow from the pride. As the rescue team drew near, Snow did not resist. She was too weak. When Sarah placed her hand on the calf's badly damaged skin, Snow let out a soft sigh, like a tiny whistle. It was as if she knew these strange, upright creatures were her last hope. The journey back was a grim ordeal. Once on the truck, Snow was immediately given 4 fluids to combat severe dehydration. Her white skin was coated in a specialized zinc ointment to soothe the sunburnt patches that had turned a painful pink. That night, Sarah did not sleep. She lay on a pile of straw right next to the enclosure. Every few hours, Snow would reach out her tiny trunk, groping through the air until she touched Sarah's hand. She needed to know she was no longer alone in the dark. The first week at Sky Blue was a long string of anxious days and fragile hope. Snow's kidneys were weak, and her spirit seemed trapped back under that lonely acacia tree. At first, she refused to drink the specialized formula. She would stand still in the corner, head bowed, seemingly lost in the pain of abandonment. Sarah understood that elephants have complex emotions. They don't just die of hunger, they can die of a broken heart. To save Snow, she had to reach the calf's soul. Sarah began a unique method, playing low-frequency recordings of wild elephant rumbles, the sounds mothers used to soothe their young. Miraculously, Snow responded. Her ears, usually tucked back in fear, began to fan out. Finally, she took her first bottle, a special formula of coconut milk, vitamins, and protein. It was more than nutrition. It was the first thread connecting Snow to her new life. But the true turning point came when Snow met Baku. Baku was a 10-year-old bull, a veteran resident of the sanctuary. He bore his own scars from a poacher's snare years ago. Baku acted as the gentle uncle responsible for welcoming new members. When Snow was strong enough to enter the communal yard, Baku was waiting. The giant elephant didn't care about her strange white skin, nor did he mind her slow movements or the way she squinted at the light. Baku lumbered over, used his large, scarred trunk to gently wrap around Snow's neck, and let out a deep rumble that vibrated through the ground. For the first time since the drought began, Snow didn't look like a ghost. She looked like a real elephant finding her place. Under Baku's guidance, Snow began to learn the essential survival skills an albino elephant needs. Baku taught Snow how to use her trunk to spray cool mud onto her sensitive skin, a vital natural sunscreen. He taught her how to find the sweetest fruits and how to navigate the sanctuary using sound and smell instead of her weak eyes. The white ghost of Olowaru was transforming into a playful, vibrant young elephant. She was no longer a mistake of nature, but a testament to its resilience. Watching Snow frolic in the mud, her white skin now stained with the brown of Mother Earth, Sarah realized that Snow wasn't just surviving, she was finding her voice. Today, Snow is no longer a lonely ghost on the savannah. She has become a symbol of hope for the entire Olowaru region, although her body still bears the marks of her harsh journey. Eyes that must squint against the sun and skin that requires daily care. Snow's spirit is completely healed. She has become a bridge between the wild world and the human heart. When visitors see Snow, they don't just see a rare natural phenomenon. They see the power of choosing to stay when everyone else has walked away. Snow's story teaches us a profound lesson about the world we share. Sometimes in life, we may feel like an albino elephant, different, misunderstood, or left behind by our own herd. There are times we are so desperate that we seek comfort in places that aren't meant for us, just as Snow sought out the lions. But Snow's journey proves that there is always a Sky Blue rescue station waiting for us. There is always a Sarah willing to stay awake all night, and a Baku ready to offer a trunk for support. Connection is the ultimate medicine. As we watch Snow navigate this world with grace, We realize that being different is not a flaw. It is a new perspective. Because of her poor eyesight, Snow developed incredible hearing and intuition. She is often the first to sense approaching rain on the horizon or to notice a new member in need at the gate. Snow turned her vulnerability into her greatest strength. The drought in the valley eventually passed, and the green grass returned to Olowaru. While Snow may never rejoin the wild herd that abandoned her, she has built a new family, one defined not by blood or skin color, but by shared healing. She is a reminder that no matter how dark the night or how harsh the sun, we are never truly alone if we have the courage to open our hearts and accept help. If Snow's journey touched your heart today, please share this story. There are many ghosts out there waiting to be seen and loved. You can support our work and real-life rescue stations, where lives like Snow's are saved, by clicking the link in the description. Every contribution, no matter how small, can turn a tragedy into a song of triumph. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to join our herd. Together, we will ensure that no one has to walk this challenging path alone. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next story.